Hello? Can anyone around here speak basketball?
There it is.
It's the Confederacy of Dunks Basketball Podcast.
We're going back to back. Welcome to the Confederacy of Dunks Basketball Podcast. I am your host, Freddie Rivas, and who, sir, are you?
I am your producer, Matt Duncan. How you doing there, Freddie? How are you making out?
I am making out okay. I'm holding up. I'm freaking out. I'm chilling out. I'm having fun. I'm crying. I'm going through all the range of emotions like everybody else.
Yeah.
But I look forward to doing this podcast every week, and let's give people the goods. Let's give people the information that they need.
Yeah.
Sorry. Before we move on, how the hell are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing just about the same. I think we're all going through the motions right now, and obviously there's not a real pulse to the NBA, so we're gonna do our best to keep trying to make basketball content for you guys, just so you have something else to do during the day. Because I know we're kind of in this lockdown mode right now, and it's super weird, and none of us have ever really had to do this before. And so yeah, we want to do our best to keep it going, keep you entertained a little bit during the day.
You're dang right. Who said there shouldn't be a Raptors-based podcast during World War III? If people want to, if they want to listen to us and find us on our various platforms, what are those? Can we bang some of those out for our listeners?
Yep, you can be listening on iTunes and Stitcher and YouTube and Spotify.
Yeah.
Player FM, where you at? People got the fancy app Pocket Cast. That seems to be one my wife really likes. Pocket Cast. Listen to us on there.
Well, Pocket Cast getting a bit extra love.
Yeah. Yeah. Apparently it's free.
If people want to kind of like boost us up the podcast charts, like how do we, if someone's like, well, with all this extra time I have, I'm becoming Remy Malek, aka I wrote Mr. Robot. So if someone's like becoming Mr. Robot, how could they help hack for us?
Are you trying to direct them to our Patreon?
Nope.
No? Oh, you're trying to
subscribe. Honestly, it was a windy path, so that's on me, buddy.
I knew I was kind of, falling off the gravel path there a little bit, but I think you mean to rate on iTunes if you can, and subscribe to whatever podcatcher you're using, so that these episodes just fly in nice and easy, like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich on a nice summer day.
That's right. Everyone can relate to a flying peanut butter and jelly sandwich on a summer day, I believe.
You're going to hear about food dropping from the ceilings of stadiums, so, and maybe flying.
Ooh, that's a nice foreshadow, Matt.
Yeah.
I always underestimate you. But if people want to support us, they want to have some of our merch or maybe just get something mailed to them during this boring time.
Yeah.
What might they do, Matt?
You're talking about the Patreon now? You finally talking
I'm talking about the Tukes, baby.
Oh my God. Okay, so yeah, you can get yourself a head top. I'm sure Freddie's got some left. I don't know if Winners is an essential service, but I do know that Confederacy of Dunks Tukes are. So we are still shipping those babies out. Thankfully, we don't have an office or anything that we need to shut down. We're just doing it from home, folks. So,
and with the with the little caveat that I will spray and bag and box them.
Spray and bag.
Well, I think the situation calls.
Oh, you're doing a little alcohol spray? Is that what you're going to do?
Yeah, just if people worry.
Oh, okay. That's nice. That's a thoughtful thing to do. Yeah, don't.
But Matt, I feel like you know where I'm going next, right?
Yes.
If people want to really dig in, if they want to be, beyond a supporter, if they want to be an investor, if they fancy us Elon Musk types.
Yes.
And they want to get in before, we have our Tesla truck moment.
Yes.
How might they do that?
You're going to go to iTunes and subscribe and rate. Is that what you mean? Oh, no, you're talking about
Maddie,
the
don't
Patreon.
you?
You're talking about the Patreon, of course. If you want to support the pod, I know it's kind of tough times right now. So no serious pressure, but we do got some good things over there for you. Freddy's hot sauce might be the only hot sauce that you can get for a while. So, people might just be signing up to get that hot sauce just so that they,
that's
have
a
a
tier
little
2 scenario.
Have a little heat during this lockdown. You know what I mean?
That's right. Gasol's, Mark's Rosé.
Mark's Rosé.
Basketball Bones.
Yeah, Basketball Bones. If you've got, the I can't even think of the word because I've been locked up so much. But I'm gonna say if you're tough enough to take the Basketball Bones, you're gonna want this hot sauce.
Wow. A bit of a turbulence there, but you stuck the landing, buddy. I'm proud of you. But I think without further ado, let me just quickly give you a rundown of who was on the show. So we called Jess Nicolette, and we called Brian Kimmel. We called my brother Thomas Rivas. We called Cathryn Naiker, and we called Paulina Vu. And we kind of got all of them to tell us a favorite Raptors moment or a favorite Raptors story. It kind of hits from playoff moments to big highlights to personal stories. And let us know what you think. If you like this kind of material, if it's a proper escape, I think that's what we're aiming for. We just wanted to relive some fun Raptors memories for everyone to, just because we're all inundated with intense news.
Yeah.
But, Matt, what do you think? Are we good to go? You want to add anything?
No, I think just hope everyone's doing well. We're thinking of everyone during this time. I know it's really tough, and just know that we're all kind of feeling the same way. When you're feeling down, worried, and stuff, don't worry. Everybody is, and we're gonna get through it together. It's just gonna take some time, and that's it.
Well, hell yeah, buddy. And I hope you're well, Matt, and I hope your fam's well. And
yeah, you too.
Thanks, buddy. And I'm excited. Let's get going here. Let's rock.
All right.
Okay, I'm here with guest number one. She's amazing. She's incredible. She's a super duper Raptor fan. We talk basketball basically every day online, and I think that's was a nice setup for perhaps the future of all of us online all the time. But Jess, you're here, and you're going to tell us your favorite Raptors story.
I am.
And Jess Nicolette, by the way.
Hello, everyone. Nice to be back.
Thank you for coming back.
Okay, well, I don't know. My favorite moment, obviously, in the history of the Raptors, also, given that probably I've got a short-term memory, but it's definitely Game 6 against Golden State, winning it all, and they're I don't know how to explain this. You know what I felt like? It's how when Sting kept talking about his tantric sex and it was it's about the build-up, not the actual event. It's
totally.
I was oh, I get it now. But those last torturous minutes and then getting through them and then actually winning, when that ball, when Steph Curry threw that ball, when the buzzer sounded and Kyle caught it and he hopped in the air, I was in shock, screaming. I'm sure most people in the group have seen my video, but screaming and crying and then just repeatedly saying, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God," and it was crying.
Two questions.
Yeah.
Actually, three questions, but first question. When the buzzer sounded, how far was Sting from your mind? Were you Sting tried to tell me? Were you Sting tried to tell me? Or did Sting come up later on, days later, you were oh my God, Sting tried to tell me?
Well, he does say I'll be watching you, but dad joke. Oh yeah, I was like, there was nothing in my mind. It was just like an empty cave, just like echoing my own words of, oh my God.
Okay. Second question. When did you start crying? Like did you
immediately?
Was it the buzzer or was it before? Like, you know what I mean? Like, was Kawhi shooting the free throws? Or?
No, I kept telling my friend, it's not real until it's like, it's not real until it's real. It's
right. So
like,
you were like calming everyone down.
It was just, I was like my friend was over. I actually had a leg injury, so I couldn't go out, which kind of sucked. So I watched.
Okay, my third question was, where were you?
Yeah, so I was at home in my living room, which was a bummer. It would have been so awesome to be out, but I had an ankle injury, so couldn't do anything. But whatever, that's still fine.
Yeah, so, it's part of the story.
Yeah, so. Yeah, at the end, I just kept saying, like, even though it was like, you knew you were going to win, it's kind of like when Draymond tried calling that timeout, right? I feel like that's when it started to get really real, when it was like, holy shit, oh my God, now we have a free. It was just like things where the universe was really finally aligning for us. But my friend was like, she was like, oh my God, did we just win this? And I was like, just shut up. It's not real. It's like nothing is real until it's like completely finished. Until that buzzer goes off, nothing is actually real. And I don't know, maybe,
especially
as a Raptor
if you're a
fan, you're like,
yeah, exactly.
Listen, I got to be real careful with how I feel.
I was right about to say that. As a Raptors fan, you're conditioned to kind of like understand torture, and you know that even when things seem triumphant, there can always be like a deeper despair.
Yeah, so there's like a patience that we have. I don't know. I feel like there is just a level of caution that we've been, it's just in us now that you just have to like step real lightly. Don't get too excited.
Yeah, 100%. And so with your ankle, was it you and one friend?
It was me and like one friend. I was like, I don't want to deal with like so many people.
For sure.
Me and one friend. And I actually had like moved from the couch to the floor. I was just like, I was so antsy.
Tripping out, yeah.
Yeah, I was so just like fidgety and anxious that I was like sitting on the floor like a kid, like 3 feet from the screen. And so she was filming a secret video of me, so I didn't know. She just was filming me during this whole thing, which ended up being hilarious and awesome because there were some good moments in there.
I think anyone who's listening knows that your friend did a duty to society by filming you.
Yeah.
Wait. So since you had an ankle injury, was the celebration? Was there any idea of like, okay, I know I'm injured, but like I got to get out there, or were you like, no, I just have to experience everything. I'm just gonna watch videos and go crazy here.
I live on Queens, so I went out to the balcony, and that was enough. I was like, okay, I'm part of it because it was like, it was
what was happening when you went out?
So I go out to my balcony and everyone's honking and hanging out of cars and screaming and waving flags and high-fiving. And it was just like so awesome.
Yeah. Were you?
I just like drank it in. I like stood on the balcony and was like, And then like I actually thought it was hilarious that my friend had drove to my house and had to then drive home. And I was like, good luck with that. But like, I was just like, I was like on a high. It was like when I went to bed, it was like a sitcom. Like I went to bed, closed my eyes, smiling, woke up, like did the like, like
me
stretch
too.
My arms, and then for the rest of like legit until the parade, it was like everyone I felt like in the city walked around like, hello, good sir, how are you? Great day. Da, 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 da. Like it was just so good.
We're all champions. That's why we got that, that tantric Sting championship.
Yeah. Like it was literally like that was like my tantric experience was like those torturous. I guess you could say it's like 24 torturous years of being a fan who everyone is like, you guys are losers. To the like, worst game ending. I did feel like the end of the game was very anticlimactic.
Yeah, it was very chopped up.
Yeah, which was a little bit annoying. The refs, they didn't need it. Was whatever.
Mhm.
But it was like, then it's like, boom, you win. And it was like, whoa.
Do you have a favorite like play or like as far as like, is it Siakam's kind of closing out bucket, Lowry going off to start the game? Like,
totally
what do you
Lowry. Like,
Yeah,
Lowry
is
to
that your
start
favorite
the
part?
game. But also, like, just any Lowry, it just everything. Lowry, everything. Like, the entire playoffs, just, like, watching him get progressively happier. I mean, like, especially at the end of, like, the conference finals, just the smile, it's still my screensaver. Like, the smile on his face as he realizes, and then him, like, catching the ball after step through it and like hopping up and going to hug Kawhi. Like, I'm just like everything Kyle.
Yeah.
Everything Kyle.
It was perfect. Like him, even him going to hug Kawhi and Kawhi like not really hugging him back.
No.
But then Lowry pretty like his body is just so wise to being like, if you don't love me, I won't I won't even invest. I won't even fully invest in this motion of a hug.
Yeah.
Like, I will move away from this hug before I even begun it, if that's how it's going to go down, sir.
Yeah.
Like, but I thought like all those little micro moments, that game was just amazing. Like, I'm looking at the stat lines now, and Siakam had 26 and 10.
Yeah.
Lowry had 26, 10 assists, and 7 rebounds.
Yeah.
Like, what a closeout! He almost had a triple double in the closeout game. That's insane.
It's just, and like Fred too. It's
Fred has 22 points. Probably
it's amazing.
Like all threes in the fourth quarter, I feel like.
Yeah. it was just like, that's everything I could, that's like, you know what? It's like, whoa, that's all I've ever wanted in life. And now what do now I want more. So I don't know.
Yeah. Do you think you could ever feel the same way from a championship?
100%. Definitely.
Yeah, me too. Like, I used to think that it's like, man, nothing like the first championship. And I'm like, man, there would be nothing like a back-to-back.
Yeah, because like, you know what would piss off basketball fans in the States more than anything, more than us winning a championship, us winning a second championship.
That's right.
Like, I mean, oh God, it's just so, and like, man, it brought the whole country together. It's just like, yeah. I mean, what is better than that? That's still like, honestly, of all 2000, I'm like, that's the only thing that mattered to me. I mean, like, whatever. It's the best thing that mattered to me.
Right. Yeah. It's I mean, I'm kind of creating this podcast for a little bit of a Raptors escape for the hardcore basketball fans out there. So,
and
we're living in the past. Sure.
Well, you know what though?
But,
like,
hey.
especially, honestly, just like the happiness that it had brought to, obviously everyone on the team was like, ecstatic and excited, of course, but like Gasol, Serge, Kyle, like just them being, a little bit over that hill, and finally like just getting that championship. Like, they were just, I like couldn't. It's like they've been working forever to get one of those, and they got it.
Who were you? I mean, it's got to be Kyle.
Oh,
but after Kyle, who were you happiest for?
You know what? That's hard. It's kind
splitting
of like,
hairs,
it's
right?
like
Because you love them all.
Like, it's a tie between like Serge and Gasol. But also, like, you know what? Fred. Like, that, I don't know all of them. And
He earned
Pascal. I'm like, Fred, undrafted. Pascal, like a kid who only started playing when he was like 17. It's just like, I can't. I'm like, man, don't make me choose.
Oh,
Kyle
yeah, you know
over
what?
everyone first. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's probably a good way to end this too. Just in this moment, Kyle over everything. And I don't know if you saw it, but it was kind of like a really refreshing, fun moment where it was a screen cap of Kyle talking to Serge online. And the quote was Kyle saying, "Serge calls me too much."
Yeah.
which I was like, okay, that was a nice little moment in these kind of trying times.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I am loving like Serge's "How bored are you" thing. So.
Well, How Bored Are You is amazing.
Yeah, it's great.
But yeah, Jess, thanks so much for doing this pod and
You're welcome.
bringing some positivity. Oh, that's my annoying.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Ready,
Yeah, I
nice
guess
sound
it is
effect. I didn't know you wanted to do some sound effects too.
Oh, okay. You know what? That's just a phone thing, Matt. I'm not trying to take over your sound effect zone. Like,
Is this that part in Wayne's World where I'm no longer needed?
Oh yeah, you're Garth in the basement. Well, Jess, be well.
Thank
be
you.
safe,
You too.
Stay sane.
Yeah.
Don't work out too hard.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, man. Yeah, I got to stop. I don't want to overextend myself again.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. Well,
Okay,
thanks for chatting.
calling.
No problem. Talk soon.
My pleasure. Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye.
All right. Peace, buddy. Okay, caller number 2. I'm here with my baby bro, JK. He's not a baby; he's 31. But yeah, maybe he is a baby. But I'm here with my little brother Thomas Rivas, plumber extraordinaire. Tom, you're gonna tell us about your favorite Raptors memory.
Oh man,
yeah, man. Obviously, so much to choose from. Well, how about this? Let's start with your thought process. When I asked you this question, like, what were you debating between?
So many different like personal ones that like meant obviously a lot to me and my brothers, me and my family. Ones that just like meant a lot to the community of Toronto. And I ended up deciding one that was a mixture of many things.
Right. Well,
definitely something I thought about was like when Master P was very close to making it. I was like,
yeah, that was one of your. That was a potential favorite all-time memory for you when Master P was on a 10-day contract for the Raptors.
That's right. That's a Canadian heritage moment, and I was like, honestly, maybe I'll talk about that, but I got a better one than that.
Yeah, because like maybe you were an actual baby at that time too.
That's true. I was a baby, but I read all the newspapers about it. It was a big deal.
For sure. There's smart babies. Some babies can read. What's your moment? What did you pick?
So I decided to pick the lovely Eastern Conference finals against the Cavaliers in 2006. I had the fortunate ability to head to game number 3 with my mom and 2 of our very close friends, Freddie, Marco Multisanti, and your former co-host, Kevin Dose. Right. So I went with those 2 guys and went with mom, and it was just such like a fun experience, I think, for everyone, because I think it was really fun for everybody who was a Raptors fan, because at that point it's the highest we've ever reached. I think we were all super we were all so happy for us to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, and I feel like game number 1 for me was so special because obviously I got to go with mom and our 2 close friends, and it was a fantastic game. But us winning that game really gave us a little bit of belief to make it feel like, not only are we in the Eastern Conference Finals, but like we deserve to be here. So it was just like such a fantastic game. I think like Bismack Biyombo had like 20 rebounds or something crazy.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Bismack Biyombo had 26 rebounds.
That's it. 26
and
rebounds.
18 defensive rebounds. Do you know the can you guess any of like the high scorers for the Raptors? Do you know who who's the high scorer for us that game?
I'm going to have to say DeMar.
It was DeMar, yeah.
DeMar was just basically outrageous that whole game.
He dropped 32.
He was the best version of DeMar you could have. He just
12 for 24.
Ooh.
8 for 9 from the free throw line, And yeah, Lowry had a classic Lowry game where it was 20 points, 3 assists, 6 rebounds, probably a bunch of charges in there and stuff. So how much for you was it kind of like the company you were with versus the just like, I guess, general overflowing optimism as a Raptors fan? Or was it kind of just like that combo of things just like made it the best memory?
I think that combo of things is really what made it kind of the best thing. It's like the idea of, because Freddie, we love our basketball. We've always just loved our basketball. Our mom has been very encouraging with our basketball, and she would even the odd time, she's a hardworking lady, but when she did find the time, she'd come down to the court that was at our community housing place, and she'd come, sometimes shoot 21 with us. So mom's always just loved basketball. She's loved LeBron James. For us, I think at that time too, I was having some pretty fun projector parties at my place with some of my roommates.
Right, yeah. You started the Raptors viewing party.
And I think Matt was probably there. Matt Duncan.
I was there at a couple, yeah. I got some, some roti across the street from where you used to live.
Oh, yeah. Roti cuisine of India.
Tom, when that game was over, do you remember the night, like what you did that night after the game?
I don't remember. I think, we just kind of moseyed on home, me, Marco, Kevin, and Mom, and just kind of just talked about the game as a whole. But like, we even went out for, and I know everyone has different rituals when they go to a Raptors game. And we went out for dinner before. We had some nice drinks. We were just like in such like we were already like happy to be there, but we were also like confident. And we knew the capabilities of this team. And then to see that game, that third game in the Eastern Conference Finals when we played the Cavs, like we let it all out. Everything was clicking. Obviously, we're not going to expect 26 rebounds every single time from Bismack, but Kyle was clicking, DeMar was clicking, everything else was just working. We were in such a good flow. And really watching that game, I was like, obviously we're going up against the GOAT, and he's in pure GOAT form. But there's a glimmer of hope here. Like I could see us, you start thinking crazy things. Is like, could we make it to the finals? And if so, would we have been obliterated by G-State? Who knows?
Yeah. See, I remember with that game, it was really like, I'm not sure if Cleveland had lost a game in the playoffs up until that point. So I think that win was part of that. And I remember the Raptors really jumping on the Cavs early in that game. And, just looking at the score quarter by quarter here.
That first half, it was,
27-24 in the first quarter, and then 33-23 in the second quarter. So, but by that point, it's like, the game is pretty stretched out, and they barely won the third, and we won the fourth by a bit. So it was a 99-84 final score. So I could totally relate to feeling those feelings of kind of like, not invincibility, but like maybe we can go toe to toe with this team, like those.
Maybe we can hang with the
Cleveland teams.
Totally. It had all the feelings of that, where I felt like people were just buzzing on like one thing. We were, oh my gosh, we're in the Eastern Conference Finals. It's this iteration of this Raptors team that has now pushed the boundaries where they're as far as any Raptors team has ever been. And then to win a game after losing the first two was like, we're not out of this yet. Like we still got some game to play. And it was just such a great game to watch DeMar. Like, I hope DeMar, we obviously all hope the best for DeMar, but as of right now, it's like that might be one of the absolute highlights of his playoff career is that game. And it was just amazing.
Yeah. I'm trying to think because I went to game 4 of that series and actually game 6 as well. And game 4 was obviously the game where the Raptors held on for dear life and still won the game. But do you remember if LeBron had his famous quote of when he said, like, I've been through adversity and this isn't it? Was that after the Raptors won the second game, or was that right after the Raptors won like this first game, the game, your memory.
In my memory, I don't think he jumped out and said anything big like that. But what I do remember from LeBron James, is there was a scuffle right in the middle of the court. And, there's a couple guys got into it, like Damari Carroll and I forget whoever else, maybe Lowry was in the mix, and Tristan Thompson. Oh yeah, it was like Bismack Biyombo and Tristan Thompson were having some words, and Tristan Thompson flopped his arms out and hit LeBron in the face.
Ooh.
And then LeBron fell over and was like grabbing his mouth, and then we got a technical for that. And only upon review did they realize it was his own player that hit him. And it was just
I remember that,
theatrical.
Yeah.
So theatrical. I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely, the stakes were so high, and I actually found the quote, and it was after the second game. So just listen to this. And this is about this is his kind of like post game comment. I've been a part of some really adverse situations, and I just didn't believe this was one of them. James said post game, "I've just been very calm about the whole situation. Our guys knew what we did and what we didn't accomplish in Toronto. I'm not taking away from the fact of how big a game this was, because it is. It's game 5 on our home floor. Series tied 2-2. But from the very moment we lost game 4, I was just very calm about the whole situation." And I mean, that would reflect Cleveland beating us by like about 100 points in that series. But Tom, you were at the game where the Raptors, the only game, actually, honestly, the only moment in time really in that conference finals where the Raptors fans had a reason to kind of believe.
And it felt like that, and everyone was so, you say it was such a good, positive Raptors benchmark. But I think when a player of that stature tells you he's not worried, I think it's okay to get like completely terrified at what he's going to do the next game.
Yeah, Dr. Manhattan.
LeBron James, saying that is him, being Dr. Manhattan. He's shape-shifting into another form.
Is there like a play from the game? Sorry, go ahead.
I guess the play from the game is it's kind of like a broken play. It was like many plays where I think it was Bismack Biyombo had like a huge block on Kyrie, came down to the other end, hit it to DeMar. He went for a layup, faked the layup, got swung around to Lowry, and he hit like just a big three. And I love filming stuff on my for my Instagram whenever I go to a Raptors game, and I just so happen to film like that whole sequence. And then just whenever I go back and watch it, like my phone is just like rumbling, and it just brings me right back to like the atmosphere inside. The atmosphere for Raptors fans is just always fantastic, but the atmosphere just inside that night was just like roaring, and it was like felt like the whole team could feel the fans are just like had such a deep belief in them.
Okay, Tom, 2.5 minutes left in this conversation. Let's finish it with a mini quiz from the game. Are you ready?
Okay.
I'm going to give you 3 guesses. Matt, if you're listening and you got a ding sound, it could be cool, but no worries.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Thomas, you have 3 guesses to guess the 3 players with the No, let's do. You have 3 guesses to guess the top 2 plus minus players in this game. Go.
I'll say DeMar plus minus.
DeMar was +9 in the game. He that's incorrect. Sorry. Yeah, thanks, Matt.
Damn.
Okay, that's 1. Tom, that's
Okay.
1. You went to this game.
Okay, then it has
it's not
to
just
be
box score stats, right?
So Bismack out there, he's doing all positive stuff, right? He's only been on there for good things. He's got to have a good plus minus.
Okay, Bismack +12, top 3, but he's not top 2, so that's incorrect.
Okay.
Hey, you get Tom. You really got to think about who is making an impact in this game. We played 10 players. That's the clue I'm gonna give you.
Okay, then I'm gonna say it was a point guard who kind of just played above where he usually plays, having a great game for us, Corey Joseph.
Correct, Thomas.
Oh,
You're still alive here. Corey Joseph is a plus 14. He scored 14 points in the game. And we got a minute left here. You have one more guess, or you have one more incorrect guess. Now, I just encourage you to think it through like you did the last one.
This is going to be a wild guess, but because you're making me think a bit outside the box, I'm going to say Luis Scola.
Oh my God. Okay, that was a great guess, so I'm not going to dock you. We're going to give you one more bonus guess, but Luis Scola had 0 points, 0 plus minus, 1 assist, 1 turnover, and 2 fouls. Okay,
that's
20 seconds, one more, Tom.
I'm going to say Kyle Lowry.
Kyle Lowry was a plus 8. That's incorrect.
I don't know.
The best plus minus in that game was Patrick Patterson. Plus minus God. PP. Patman.
Pat.
Oh, that's our time, Tom.
Ding
All right,
ling ling ling.
Thanks for having me on. To everyone listening, I hope you all stay safe and take care, everybody.
Sounds good, bro. Talk soon. Thanks for telling us your story.
All right, see you later. Go Raps.
Okay, cool. I'm here with guest number 3. I'm super excited to have her back. Obviously, it's not the best time to have anyone back, but we're trying to inject some escapism and positivity into everyone's day, hopefully. So give it up at home for Paulina Vu.
Thanks so much for having me. It is an unfortunate time in the world, but I've been watching a lot of NBA games and doing stuff in my free time, like cooking. So, and talking to a lot of people like you guys. So
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's like we were kind of just talking before we started recording, and it's a weird time in that like there's some kind of hidden gems and silver linings, but there's obviously still there's obviously this kind of abstract like terror. So it's kind of a weird duality, but
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so we're kind of jumping into different types of favorite Raptor stories. We've already heard a couple pretty cool ones. So I asked my brother this question, so I'll ask you the same. When I asked you, what's your favorite Raptors moment? What's your internal dialogue? Like, what are you factoring in?
Oh man, that's sort of a loaded question. Like, I think it's just one of those. I told you that it was the Kawhi shot, and I think for me that every time I watch it, like no matter how many times I watch it, and even though I know what happens, I still get chills. So it's just, and how stoic he was after. It was just like all the emotions I think are what contribute to that being my favorite moment. But I do have a personal story that I want to share that is one of my favorite moments.
Sure, yeah. I mean, like the shot for everyone, like is just like time stood still, Yeah. And yeah, it's especially like if you're a sports fan, you probably knew where you were. If you're a Raptors fan, you definitely knew where you were. But yeah, let's jump right into your personal story. So, what game is it? What's going on? What are we talking about?
Okay, so this was the beginning of January in 2019. So I had purchased tickets for a San Antonio game in San Antonio for Kawhi's first return back to San Antonio.
Oh,
and
amazing.
I bought the tickets as soon as the schedules were released. So they were really expensive at the time, and I had like literally the last row in the entire arena.
So was this like in the what's the San Antonio arena? Is it Saddle Dome?
No, it's called AT&T Center.
Oh, sorry, AT&T Center, right?
Yeah. But their arena is actually pretty small. Like I think it's probably the same number of seats as or close to Scotiabank. Mm-hmm. Or I think maybe I heard a rumor that it might be a bit smaller, or maybe it's one of the smallest. I can't even remember.
I could see that because it's like San Antonio definitely has a lot of like little weird nooks and crannies. Like it's one of those like small market cities in the NBA. So I wouldn't be surprised if the arena was kind of a bit like odd or small.
Yeah, definitely. It was also like in a really weird location. Like it kind of felt like it was on the outskirts of town. But their arena doesn't have as many courtside seats, and I think that they only have courtside seats on like the long sides of the court.
Okay.
So I ended up getting seats that were in the third row. So you know how like Scotiabank Arena, like they have like all those lettered rows, like B and C. Like this one was just like the third row, and there's even some videos I think on YouTube of that game where they're all booing Kawhi, like after his memorial video.
Right.
And you can see me in the crowd. So I had a bunch of messages after saying like, "Oh, I saw you on TV."
Oh my God. So were you like, yeah, because he was a Raptor, right? So you were supporting Kawhi.
Yeah, for sure. And I was actually sitting across the tunnel from Kawhi's family, and I had better seats than his own family. And I like waved to them after.
Whoa.
I waved. So I had gone early. So I went probably like an hour early, and they let us in the arena like maybe 45 minutes before the game started so we could watch them do the shoot around. So I need to start at the beginning of the story because my journey to get there was actually crazy.
Okay, yeah, take us back.
So first I had a flight the day before the game, and it was at around 6 o'clock in the evening, and I was sitting on the plane waiting for takeoff, and when we were sitting on the plane for probably like close to an hour, but we had just been taxiing around, like we hadn't actually even gone to the runway yet.
Oh man.
But then eventually they had a page over the intercom saying like everybody like off the plane, like there's an issue with the plane, and we'll be rescheduling the flight for tomorrow night at 6. And I was like, oh, like I'm gonna miss the game. Like
no.
I need to get to San Antonio.
Yeah.
So everyone left.
Wait, let me just pause you there. How many times has anyone ever been like, I need to get to San Antonio?
I know. Like,
but sorry, yeah, go on.
Didn't think I would ever have to say that. So everyone got off the plane and everyone was heading out of the terminal. But I decided to look at the departures, like the departures board. And we were flying with American Airlines. So I looked at all the other American Airlines, like where the counters were.
Right.
For other flights. So I went to another flight that was leaving shortly to Chicago with American Airlines. So I went up to that counter and I said, is there any way I can get to San Antonio through Chicago? And they said, yes, but it's not going to be the most pretty route getting there. And they're like, you have to go to Chicago, then you got to go to Dallas, and then you got to get on a flight there to San Antonio. So I was like, sure, as long as I'm there, like before 7 o'clock tomorrow night, like I'm going to do it. So
it's like trains, planes, and automobiles with Paulina.
Yeah.
Basically.
Have you played Ticket to Ride before?
Yes. Yeah.
So that's kind of what it reminded me of.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So anyway, so we boarded the flight. It was like a dinky little plane, like probably like, I don't know, like probably one of the smallest planes you could fly at Pearson. Right. So we got into the plane, and that ended up being delayed. No, actually, we had to get off that aircraft, and then we had to get on a new aircraft. So then we didn't end up in Chicago probably until like 1 a.m. And I booked a hotel room at the O'Hare Airport. It was the Sheraton, and then we just like I had maybe like 4 hours between that flight and my Dallas flight, so we just went straight to the hotel room, slept for 4 hours, and then went back to the terminal, boarded the flight to Dallas, and then eventually made it to San Antonio. Probably, I think the whole journey probably took like 16 hours total.
What a hero's journey.
Yeah.
Raptors fans. Some Raptors fans brag about going to Detroit or Indiana or Cleveland. You went to San Antonio on Kawhi's return game. And if I'm not mistaken, like that was the first time we saw DeMar, right? Like, because when he came back to Toronto, that was later in the season.
Yeah. I think so.
This was the game that San Antonio, they actually gave us a beatdown, right?
Yeah. Oh my God, it was
DeMar triple-double in that game, if I remember correctly. So you were wearing a Leonard jersey. Were people giving you shit or what?
Well, first when I first got to San Antonio, also I had a lot of confidence. Once I landed in San Antonio, I had so much confidence that Kawhi was probably going to stay in Toronto, just based on the fact that San Antonio was such can I swear?
Sure.
Such a shitty town and compared to Toronto. I Googled the best hotel in San Antonio, which was the Westin, just to see where the Raptors were staying. And so I landed in San Antonio, took a cab to my hotel, which is around the corner from the Westin. And I saw Big Cat on my way in and yelled at him on the street.
Well, wait. You yelled at Big Cat? What'd you say?
We just yelled at the window, Big Cat, and then he waved at us.
Yeah, I guess that's what you yell at Jamal McGlure, you yell Big Cat. That's just how that goes. Sorry.
So then I went to this Mexican restaurant, and then I just felt this hand rubbing my back. And then I realized it was this older Mexican woman and was like, "Oh, you're here for the game." And I was like, "Yeah, I am." So I think it's the only sports team they have in the city. So I did get a lot of people commenting on my jersey.
Do you feel like what was there hostility? Were people like, "Oh man, Kawhi, he's gonna leave you too," or was it kind of just it was so unique for them to see someone wearing a Raptors jersey that they were like, "Huh."
They were actually really nice.
That's cool.
Yeah, Southern hospitality is a real thing. So everyone was really nice and was just good luck tonight.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then we went to the hotel and the Westin Hotel where the Raptors were staying, and there was a little group of people, other Raptors fans, just waiting for them to come out of the hotel. So we met this guy. Danny Green has actually mentioned him in his podcast before. Okay. I don't know if you ever listened to his podcast. Yeah. It was this guy named Ron who traveled around the U.S. He's from Toronto with this Green Ranger doll and with Danny Green's face on it.
A normal person does.
Yeah. So we befriended him, and then he was staying at an Airbnb closer to the arena. So I offered him a ride to the arena with us for the game, and he said, "Oh yeah, for sure. I have these awesome tickets, and we can watch them shoot around before." So before the shoot around, he had his extra tickets on StubHub to sell, but nobody ended up purchasing them. So he just let us stay in these seats that were amazing, the third row up. And so we also met Kristen Ledlow, I think. That's one of the sports analysts. Yeah.
So we got 1 minute left here. You actually met because I think you maybe told me part of this at a party once. Did you also meet Kawhi's parents? No.
Yeah. So when we were at the shoot around, Kawhi's family sat across from the tunnel from us. So it was Kawhi's mom, Uncle Dennis, his girlfriend who was very pregnant at the time, and his daughter. And they all waved to us. And then after the game, Kawhi's mom, it was funny because they were getting booed so hard, but every time Kawhi was getting booed, Kawhi's mom was just like cheering and dancing around, trying to support
Is that the
him.
game where she lost it on a fan? Remember, she got into a bit of a dispute with a San Antonio fan?
Yeah, I think that happened that game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that person was sitting I think a couple rows behind me, but she was yelling at them from across the tunnel area.
Wow.
Yeah, but so after she came up to us and was you could visibly upset, or are we up?
That's our timer, Paulina. But wait, just wrap it up because I want to know how the encounter ends.
Oh, so she just came up to us after and was hi, saying hi to us, and then she just went to my boyfriend who was also with me, and she just whispered and kind of whispered in his ear, was "Don't worry, we got the next one." And then
Ooh, I like the the whispering shade. Paulina, you're definitely like a secret agent of sorts. Like just the way you seem to be able to get things done. Like I feel like you are, you're like a private eye. I want to go to a game with you because I feel like we'll end up like sitting courtside and somehow like you'll be like, oh, don't worry, I know this ref. Trust me.
That's funny. But that would be cool if we just had an away game together, like some people in the group, just because the other markets are so much cheaper. It's pretty crazy. Like even when I went to Cleveland and, I don't know what they shoot out of. I think like t-shirts they shoot it and towels and stuff. They shoot out of those guns. Mm-hmm. They were shooting like hot dogs into the crowd.
Hot dogs?
Yeah.
Like hot dogs?
They were like wrapped in foil.
Oh my God.
Like it probably could have harmed someone, and then in Miami,
awesome.
In Miami they had like Big Macs coming down in parachutes, which was kind of cool too.
Okay,
yeah.
That's my dream right there.
Flying food thing
Big
needs
Mac.
to happen more. I didn't even know this was a thing.
Yeah. Also in Cleveland, like they give out free quarter pounders at McDonald's if the Cleveland Cavaliers score 25 points in the first quarter.
Whoa. Which
they did. So we still had all our tickets, and we were driving to Nashville after. So we stopped in, I want to say somewhere in like close to the border of Kentucky and Ohio. And we went to McDonald's and they still gave us like a free quarter pounder.
Nice.
Like even though we were pretty far from Cleveland.
Oh man, just crushing quarter pounders. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, Paulina, thanks for telling us your Kawhi story. I can't believe how many people you met and connections you like had to make.
I know.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm not the best at storytelling, so.
Oh, you were great.
I am?
Yeah.
Oh.
Me and Matt are like echoing each other because we're agreeing so hard.
Okay. Are you guys together? I guess you aren't.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. For any, and actually, Paulina, I'm glad you asked that. For any listeners, for sure, we're not together.
Yeah. No, we've been preparing for this since September. So
yeah, basically. Paulina, thanks so much. Stay safe, stay positive, be compassionate to yourself, and hope to talk to you soon.
Yeah, for sure.
In the flesh.
You guys stay safe and well too.
Thanks.
Try not to be too much of a hermit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll talk soon, and thanks for doing the pod.
Okay, sounds good. No problem. Thanks for having me.
Okay, awesome. I'm here with guest number 4. He's incredible. Your boy Brian. It's Brian Kimmel. Give it up at home. How you doing, Brian?
I'm good. How are you?
I feel like I'm doing this pod, so I'm having fun right now. Anyways,
wonderful,
dude. I feel like you probably have a lot of stories to choose from. I know you've met a lot of Raptors, met a lot of basketball players. You probably have like good personal stories, but you're also like a hardcore fan. So when I asked you like what your favorite Raptors moment is, like, well, what's your selection process? Like, are you kind of
so it didn't have to be game related per se, or?
No, I mean, for everyone, it has been kind of game related so far, and then like the adjacent stuff beside that. But
right, yeah, I definitely have a bunch of stuff that doesn't necessarily relate to the games, but
yeah,
that's a lot. The lines along which I was thinking of. So, I mean, your show, your call, you got whatever you want to talk about.
I feel like you got a lot. So
I was gonna talk about like the Kawhi shot, but I felt it was kind of obvious. Like I kind of feel like everyone's favorite moment was the Kawhi shot. Like, the Kawhi shot was like bigger for me than them actually winning the championship.
So let's talk about that, because I feel like I like that's a lot of people's choice for like best moment, but I'd be interested to hear what was going on for you like that day. Like, what was the lead up to the shot for you personally?
Were you in Toronto? The game, with like friend. I was at the Dog and Bear, watching the game with my dad and some friends.
Nice.
And I mean, I'm sure it's a very similar experience for most people. Just all of the tension and anxiety leading up to that moment, and the catharsis of him hitting it, right? And you know, it being bigger than that moment, but you know, like the catharsis of like, you know, getting over that hump that we'd never previously been able to get over because of LeBron. And you know, like that feeling of like, you know, 20 plus years of frustration kind of melting away and all that. Yeah, so I mean, I was going to talk about that moment, but I think like, you know, like every like Raptors buzzer beater up until that point as well has also been huge. Like every
sure.
buzzer beater has been like a great moment of catharsis, but like I think for well, maybe not just us, but I think like any team that's experienced as many years of mediocrity as we have, it's like every buzzer beater has kind of felt like bigger than that moment, like for me anyway, because it's been like its own mini little championship, you know, like every time you see like a game. Going back to like the Vince one. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say it's almost like levels. It's like they're each new levels, and it feels like I don't want to take your kind of like your story or your feeling from you, but I feel like you're working towards this idea of kind of like Kawhi's shot is like, it was just like the ultimate version of a buzzer beater. Like it won the series. It bounced like. Well,
I think like honestly, objectively looking at it, it was the greatest shot in NBA history, probably. I mean,
yeah, it has to be.
I can't really think like. Obviously, you're gonna put like Jordan's shots in there, right, over Russell and over Elo, but I think just given the context of the shot, right, like putting aside personal feelings and sentiment, I don't know. I think it is the greatest shot ever, right?
So after the shot, how long until you left the bar? Was it like?
I can't remember. It was probably like, I mean, the first thing that happened was as soon as he hit it, Simon and I like jumped up and like into each other's arms, like, yeah, you know, we were like hugging. Simon was like lifting me up, and I after that I just kind of blacked out.
Totally. Like
I can't remember how drunk I was, but I'm sure there was alcohol involved, and there was definitely emotions, you know, like little eye water and whatnot. But
do you remember a lot about, you know, I'm sure you've like rewatched the game, but do you remember a lot about like your experience of the game before the shot that night? Like how you were, because I remember it just on pins and needles. Like it was a tough game. It was a really defensive game.
Yeah, for sure. And there was obviously the like different highs and lows, and you know, that same feeling of anxiety, you know, given the stakes of the game and whatnot. But I don't know if you got it from me. I was always highly confident we were going to win the chip that year. Like you talk to anybody, I was telling everyone like, yeah, we're winning the chip, and I was very confident, and like,
I love it.
I never really doubted it that like at any moment really. There was still anxiety and whatnot, but
yeah.
I don't know. You could talk to Stephen Alley. He'll tell you about when I sort of talked him off the ledge, or at least I tried to, you know, when he was feeling really, you know, down about our chances, and I was just like telling him like, nah, dude, we're gonna beat Orlando, and then we're gonna beat the Sixers, and we're going to beat Milwaukee, and then we're going to beat whoever's in the finals, and we're going to win the chip. And I was just telling them like really matter-of-factly, and that's what happened. Although, I mean, yeah, like Philly was the toughest series, I think, and they're the ones that took us the distance. Milwaukee,
sure.
Like, things obviously looked kind of dour after the first two games against Milwaukee, but then once we got that momentum going, it was like, yeah, these guys are cooked.
I totally agree. Like I've said a bunch of times, and I think when I say it, it seems like a bit silly given the situation. But when Joel Embiid did the airplane, you know, like the windmill dunk and the airplane celebration, I think that honestly, that and Game 4 were my most tense moments as a fan, because I was like you know, anyone who listens to this pod knows that as soon as the Kawhi trade happened,
Yeah.
I was only thinking about how we'd match up against the Warriors, like the fully healthy Warriors. Like I thought we could win a championship. I didn't know. I didn't know we would, but I thought I really thought we could. Like really thought we could.
And thinking back to, and obviously, luck played into it as well with
for sure
the Warriors being hurt and whatnot. But when you think back to historically how well we played the Warriors, they have blown us out a couple times, but there have been a bunch of games where we took them down to the wire. I think there might have been an overtime game or two, like during the Clay Steph era. Anyhow, we've always, I feel like, historically played them very well compared to a lot of the teams in the league. And obviously, getting that Kawhi upgrade was a huge boon for us.
It was massive.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the box score of this game, and there are a bunch of funky lines. Like Kawhi's 41 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals. The game winner. But one thing that's kind of throwing me is like, do you remember Marc Gasol leading the team in minutes? He played 45 minutes in that game 7.
I don't remember that, but that doesn't surprise me either. I mean, that's not something that that's not like the type of stat I would really keep track of. The only thing that I'm really cognizant of is like the heavy minutes that like Kyle plays in general. And, from what I recall, all of our starters were getting pretty heavy minutes. That doesn't surprise me, particularly in that series, because I mean, our victory is pretty basically mitigated, or not mitigated by, but it was contingent on Mark shutting down Embiid, right? Like that was the big difference maker for us in both that and the Milwaukee series. It was the Gasol D. So that doesn't surprise me.
When that shot goes up,
yeah,
like, or let's start a bit further back, because like I think like the sequencing of the game really, I don't want to go out of my depth and talk baseball here, but I remember that wild 7th inning. Like obviously the Batista bat flip was, the moment itself is so extreme, but the 45-minute buildup is really added to the intensity. And I feel like with this game, people forget that, Kawhi missed that free throw, and not just a missed free throw, like Jimmy ripped it down and went coast to coast in like maybe 5 seconds. And
was it a layup or a jumper? Why am I unable to remember?
It was a layup over a really contested, like Ibaka was all over him. He scored over Ibaka over, and that it was like a shocking
Jimmy's
moment.
That dude. Yeah, I mean, think of how badly Philly would have lost if they didn't have Jimmy in that series, right?
Yeah, it's he was scoring when no one else could, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, like just. Like, we knew it was going to Kawhi. Like, were you expecting that to be the play, or were you just like, he was hard to think?
I wasn't even really I was just kind of like letting the game unfold, and I wasn't really analyzing it to that level.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it doesn't surprise me that the best player takes the last shot. They could have used him as a decoy and he could have kicked it out to someone else or whatever, but I don't know, just the way it unfolded didn't surprise me. Like, I could see Kawhi, like, regardless, wanting that to be a shot anyway, and kind of like just taking it, like freelancing if he had to. But I mean, it worked out. So,
how long for you, anyways? Like how long did you go where you couldn't focus on anything else? Like, how long were you looking at like announcers announced the shot from around the world, and like how long were you like? And then for me, right away, I remember thinking, not right away, but early that
after
like the Vince comparisons.
I mean,
like all that stuff. Was it immediate?
It was I don't remember like when it stopped. It was like the amount of times that I rewatched it upon like leaving. So we went to my buddy Jed's place, and we were rewatching it at his house that night, like nonstop. And I was probably rewatched it a couple times yesterday. Like, I mean, that's a shot that it's I can't count the amount of times I've rewatched it, right? going from when it actually happened till today, it obviously slowed down a bit, like over the course of that, the weeks and months that followed. But, I still watch it occasionally. And, we rewatched that game last night. So, yeah, a lot. I mean, it's
I remember
definitely one of the great. I mean, it's up there. You know that I'm a huge Blue Jays fan also. Like my love of Blue Jays and Raptors is like 50-50. Like they're
I'm so glad you're bringing this up. Let's talk Joe Carter. So like it's like as insane as the Kawhi moment is, it has to still be second place to the Joe Carter walk-off.
Well, here's the thing. Joe Carter's home run is only number 3 on my list of sports moments.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, sorry. Toronto sports?
No, like sports and I mean, for me, Toronto sports, is supersedes everything else. But, for me, it's between the Kawhi shot and the bat flip, because I mean, Joe Carter. Like, I mean, I've been a Blue Jays fan for longer than I've been a Raptors fan. I mean, they've been around longer, obviously.
Yeah.
So you can't really compete with that. It was a huge moment, but at the same time, I was only 13 years old when that happened, and I just didn't have an appreciation for how
sports history
big a moment that was. I can look at it in retrospect and go, yeah, okay, that was really crazy.
That's fair.
But in terms of the emotions that I was feeling at that moment, right, I was excited as hell being a little kid and being a huge Blue Jays fan. But I also, actually, it's interesting because I remember as a kid, I was very confident we were going to win the World Series as well. And it was our second one also. But I had never experienced like a drought before. Like the Jays had always been good since I started following them, going back to like
they're good since
the late
88,
80s.
right?
Absolutely. I mean, they've been great since before I was really cognizant of who they were. But I mean, since like the George Bell, Dave Steed, like Jesse Barfield days, they were still like highly competitive teams. That they were going to come out of the division more often than not, and and they finally won the ones like 92, 93. I was really taking for granted how good they were. And then like after those years, it was like so many and I don't follow hockey really, though. I mean, although the Leafs also have obviously been pretty mediocre, but it's been frustrating years of sports in Toronto. So the bat flip game and the Kawhi shot, those two games, like the level of catharsis is on another level for me.
It really is,
because it was like decades of suffering. So that's when I really started appreciating
so what gives what gives the bat flip the edge? I mean, like I feel like even though I'm more of a Raptors fan, if I were to be more of a Jays fan than a Raptors fan, I would say there's got to be an aspect of like Batista was a real Jay. Kawhi wasn't a real Raptor. That must have
I mean,
added
I would
to
probably,
that, right? Or no?
I mean, Batista is definitely like on my short list of greatest Toronto athletes of all time. It'd be like between him and Kyle, and pretty much between him and Kyle, I guess. But it wasn't really so much that. I mean, that added to the moment for sure. But I mean, it could have been anyone hitting that home run, I think. And
right.
For one, I was at that game and I wasn't at the Kawhi shot game. So
that's big.
Part that, so that's definitely plays into it, and the tension and all that was really palpable. And then also another huge thing was that it happened first. So if the Kawhi shot happened before the before the Jose bat flip, I might have given that a bit of an edge, just because that bat flip was that moment of release of from 20 plus years of sports frustration in Toronto. And so that's probably it. It's probably just because it happened first, that and me being there. But I mean, they were both. I mean, they're still neck and neck.
I think that's I think that's probably a good way to end it. That's our time, and no one else is going to talk about the shot, so it makes sense that you're.
I was very surprised. I was very surprised that no one else did. I was ready to talk about all the other buzzer beaters, like Vince versus the Celtics and Clippers.
Oh my God, that was a massive one. Yeah, the Raptors do have like a sneaky amount of.
They've got. I mean, Mo Pete, versus the Wiz. You got Anthony Parker doing Wizards Part 2. You got Kyle versus, was it the Heat in the playoffs, the half-court Eve.
You also have Kawhi's sneaky Portland game winner, which was the exact same.
Yeah. I mean, just they all fact, and there are also a lot of game winners that were stolen from us.
That's right.
Other thing. I mean, that's the opposite of the elation that we feel.
Yeah. You know what? If we get out of these dark times and do like another just sad Raptors pod, that could be a good one.
You can save that as the companion episode to this one. Is people's saddest Raptors moments.
Cool, man. Well, thanks for joining us and telling us your story and with you and your dad at the Dog and Bear. Yeah, no problem, man. Okay, buddies. I'm here with maybe the most prolific guest on Confederacy of Dunks basketball podcast. Off the air, she said it was nice to hear me and Matt's voice since the world changed, and I had the same feeling hearing her laugh was a pretty good time. I was like, oh man, right. Cathryn Naiker. So if you're at home, give it up for one of the best basketball people going and one of my favorite comedians, Cathryn Naiker. What's up, buddy?
Hello. I'm doing all right, all things considered.
Right. Yeah. I think that's okay. I think all right seems to be
better than bad
goal right now.
Yeah, I feel like I'm constantly switching between like, oh, I'm gonna write this thing and like pitch it to the CBC, and then 10 seconds later, I'm like, oh my god, just like get me out of here.
Yeah, totally. And sorry, Matt, were you gonna say something? I feel like I cut you off.
Oh no, I just said that all right is better than bad.
True.
Yes. So yeah, Matt's pretty good at synthesizing things.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Matt. Oh God, I feel like if I was lucky enough to be able to walk around with Matt, I would he'd stop a lot of unnecessary conversations I have at this is non-quarantine times. Like if I'm going to a grocery store or getting a coffee or something, I feel like Matt would help clarify my orders, and people will be like, oh, I understand what you're trying to say, young man.
Yeah. That's why he's a good team.
Yeah,
Not for the podcast, just for the grocery.
Yeah, for the pod, nightmare team. For everyday buddies that clarify for each other, hype. Okay, Cathryn, I'm kind of doing this in two stages. I started doing this with Tom, the second caller. I don't think I did it with Jess, but when I asked you what your favorite Raptors moment was, what's your process? How are you categorizing it? Are you kind of doing franchise moment versus personal versus kind of exciting? What's your
definitely making it personal.
That makes sense for you.
That's what.
Sorry, that sounded so derogatory, and it wasn't. It was totally a compliment.
Well, you know what? In this quarantine state, it's been a while since someone's thrown me shade. So,
oh my God, that wasn't shade, but I guess it was. But I really did mean for it to be. No,
I loved it. Never change.
Wait, so yeah, okay, I guess, okay, since we're going along with this, personal, obviously.
I think, when it comes to, when you look at it from the point of view of the franchise, nothing's going to beat, winning it all. And not that didn't mean a lot to me personally, but just for the sake of, mixing it up and having, different answers.
So would you say it's fair to say that, winning the championship is a better moment in general than, say, drafting Bargnani?
Yes. I don't even remember how I felt about Bargnani. I remember feeling great about.
Wait, so that's not your moment?
No, that's not my moment.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Brian Colangelo and I don't know.
Yeah. So wait, what? Okay, I interrupted you though. What were you saying?
Oh, okay. I thought we were still bantering. You want me to get into what my favorite moment is?
Sure. I thought I interrupted the banter is what I'm saying. But you know what? I think let's just dive right in. What's your moment?
So my moment is in Vince Carter's rookie season.
Ooh, okay. Throwback.
Throwback. I was very excited, of course, to have him on the team. I have vague memories of watching like the first game, and I think like I was too young to like fully like process, but just like knew like this was obviously going to be like really, really good. And I think what I was feeling at the time was the feeling of like relevance that I had never felt before.
Oh my God, this is amazing, Cathryn. Just keep going. I mean, like, because you do this podcast so much, I always talk about how, like, Masai's battle is the battle of every Toronto Raptors fan. It's like it's this battle for relevancy.
Yeah.
Like, that's like even the championship, then people are talking about, oh, we're going to trade Kawhi and AD's the Lakers, so who cares about Toronto? It's like, that's what we are battling. Like, it's like, that's our demon. It's like this battle for relevancy. And Vince, good. Just keep going.
No, it's a great point. I mean, like, culturally, that has been our battle since the beginning, really. It still continues in a way that's, like, really fucked up. But I think winning a championship means, like, I don't know if this is true, but I certainly care less about relevancy now. Because it's
right.
Like anybody who thought, oh, we weren't going to make the playoffs this year, blah, blah, blah. It's like you're just clearly not watching the games at this point. And
we have the hardware.
Oh. Yeah, we have the hardware. So it's just like I've learned to sort of ignore those kinds of opinions and ignore ESPN rankings and stuff like that. I just don't care as much as I used to.
Yeah, but, I think that makes sense. But in Vince's rookie season, this is prime caring about that, right?
Yeah, this is prime caring about that. Prime never having it before. Prime first having like a real taste of it and a real glimpse at it in the beginning years of some sort of relevancy. So in his rookie year, fell madly in love with him. And I went to a game with a friend of mine at the time, Holly. Holly and I went to the Raptors game. Upper Bowl, didn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's all
doesn't matter. And then I created a sign that said, like, Vince, take it to the playoffs. But I also, like, color-coded the letters, so it also said, Vince, take it off.
Oh, my God.
I'm like,
oh my God. I didn't know this was heading in the direction of like an electric circus moment. This is awesome.
The late 90s, so everything was an electric circus moment.
Fair. What game was this? Like, who are they playing?
Honestly, I don't even remember.
Yeah.
I remember it was a Sunday game.
Fair enough. Yeah, I was trying to look it up as you were talking, but so you brought the sign.
It's like a shortened season.
Yeah.
It's a Sunday game. One, yeah. So there's only so many. We definitely weren't making the playoffs that year, but I think we were all just so excited to have Vince that like we started having like playoff hopes. It was probably a Sunday game, I want to say in the month of March. So maybe we can Google that and figure it out. I was like 13 at the time, if anyone's wondering. A, why I don't have memories, and B, why I thought it would be funny to make such an inappropriate sign. I mean, it was just, to me, very funny at the time. We were acting.
Sorry, at the time?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny
this
now.
It's still funny.
People cringe when I tell them that I made this sign because they're like, oh, you were an underage girl. And it's like, it's not like Vince was actually approaching me.
Exactly.
I was in the upper bowl, for fuck's sake.
People need to chill. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
It was clearly a pretty innocent thing or a pretty innocent joke, I felt. So me and Holly are there, and basically we're acting like going to this Raptors game is like going to a Backstreet Boys concert. Like, we're behaving the same way. And people around us were getting like really annoyed. But when you are like a 12, 13-year-old girl, like there's something so special about not caring about other people in that sense, because it's like an age where like you're really self-conscious about everything, but the one thing you're not self-conscious about is your love for Vince Carter.
Yes. Like why would you be?
Yeah, or Nick Carter or whatever Carter.
Sure, any Carter.
And
Jonathan Carter Thomas.
Yeah, there you go. And so we were just screaming. Like, even like, I remember it was like somewhat of a close game, and it was like fourth quarter, like Vince is shooting like free throws. Everybody's like getting real quiet and shushing. But in my mind, I'm like, this is my chance. So I started
I love this.
So loud, because I'm like, this is the one chance I'll have for her to see me. And everybody around me was so pissed.
So, okay, being a hardcore basketball fan now,
yeah,
if you saw a 13-year-old girl doing this to, let's say, like Ja Morant at a game, would you be like, shut it? Or would you be like, you know what? I know what she's going through.
Maybe a bit of both.
Right. Yeah. By the way, I have some candidates for the game. So Sunday, March 28th, 1999, played the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah.
But you probably would have remembered that, right? Michael Jordan?
Yeah, I would have remembered that. Definitely that game.
So let's say the other one is Sunday, March 21st, 1999 against the New York Knicks. OT? Did it go into overtime?
No, I don't recall it going to overtime.
Okay,
is there another option?
There's one more.
Okay.
So we got Sunday, March 7th against the Boston Celtics.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, because the Celtics weren't super relevant at that time.
No, I think we're looking at, like, I'm just pulling them up right now. We're looking at Antoine Walker, Ron Mercer, Paul Pierce, Kenny Henderson, Tony Batiste.
But like
starting lineup.
Rookie Paul Pierce. Did we win that game?
We did.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, Raptors 105, Celtics 92.
Yeah.
And
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's just decide that's the game.
Yeah, because I would have remembered obviously seeing Michael Jordan, and I used to really like the Knicks because that was the year the Knicks won it all. Right, that was the lockout season. Or no, they went to the finals and then San Antonio won.
That's right. Yeah.
But they were that 8th seed that went to the finals. So I have like pretty fond memories of that Knicks team. So I'm gonna say it was the Celtics.
Yeah, I think the Celtics were. It makes sense also that as far as like a game that you could go to, that would be an affordable game. Like the Knicks were probably a pretty big draw at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah. So when you went with your friend, like is that like, were you a forever Raptors fan? Like I'm a Vince era Raptors fan, and I'm not afraid to admit it. Like, yeah, I liked the Raptors before, but as soon as Vince came, I was diehard. Are you like a Vince? Is that your timeline as well? Are you before?
No, I got into it a bit before, but I can't claim that I got into it the very first season. I think if I remember the timeline correctly, I went to a game at the Sky Dome in the 500s, and I recall even having like binoculars with me. We were so far away. And
yeah, Sky Dome was ridiculous.
Yeah, and like there were families around us that had binoculars, and there was like this area where the cheerleaders would kind of like huddle and wait before they like went out into the court, and we could like see all of that.
The Sky Dome was honestly, let's go back to the Sky Dome, because that's just like a bag of tricks. Like that's I can't believe the Raptors survived after being in Sky Dome.
I mean, that was such a horrible viewing experience, but me as like a young kid, just like excited to have like a new team and a new thing. And like, I think at the time the Raptors were really smart in how they marketed the team to kids.
Yeah, I mean, it paid off, right?
Yeah, like it really paid off. And so I just remember having a good time. And I think as a young kid, I wasn't as bothered by that kind of viewing experience because at the time it was all I knew.
Totally.
Right? Like I had been to like a Blue Jays game before, but even then it's like you're so far up, and it's like I think my family was good at preparing me for a life in the 500s.
Oh, I like that. I like that. Your family's like, listen, head to this game. You'll get a brief glimpse of what a caste system looks like.
Yeah. They're like, you're young,
honestly,
you're beautiful, and we're going to keep your expectations low.
That's right. We'll keep you in a certain caste, and you can just embrace it.
And so I think after that, I had a really fun just time at the game. And then the next year, hello?
Sorry, that's my phone timer going off.
Bing,
because we're already at time?
We're already out of time. But, is there any kind of last parting words you want to give people, with this story before we kind of say goodbye?
Yeah, just essentially, I think I became a Raptors fan in their second season. After watching that game, and then the following year started to tune in more. I think that fits pretty well. And nobody can really claim that they joined in year 2 and stayed, but
that's you. OG.
OG.
And you know what? Let's pour one out for probably played his last game, Vince Carter. It was a weird exit.
I had tickets too to see him April 10th.
Oh, you did?
I did. I had tickets. I was like, I need to be at his last game in Toronto.
Dang.
Yeah, it really sucked. And you know what? Sorry, if I may, I know we're going over. Real quick. Vince Carter had his press conference after his last game, and it went really long, and you could tell he was kind of uncomfortable doing the retirement celebration parade in the way that Kobe Bryant did in his last year.
Yeah, and
you could tell he kind of wanted to go out quietly. That's why he didn't do the All-Star game festivities and honorary All-Star kind of thing. And as a fan, it kind of hurts, but a part of me is like, you know what? If that's how he wants to go out, then good for him.
Yeah, he's 55. I think poor Vince. Let the guy go out. I think it's not his fault that he'll be going to bed at 8 p.m. and still being able to dunk at the same time.
Yeah.
He'll be a dunking grandpa, and I think it's going to be confusing for people, but
yeah.
But anyways, thanks so much for being on the pod, Cathryn, and I hope you're well and safe, and your family's also well and safe.
Yes, thank you, and same to the both of you.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, that ended on a note. We were like, fuck you, eh?
Yeah. No, it can't end any other way.
Yeah, it's got to end like that. But we'll talk soon regardless. And peace, love.
Can anyone around here speak basketball?
There it is.
It's the Confederacy of Dunks Basketball Podcast.